All right. All right. I think we are live now.
Yeah, John and I wound up talking, and then Manny started writing me on the whole sales thing. So I'm going to tell him to get off my back.
Speaking of which,
Uh,
tell us about the progress since last week.
I am so tired of sales.
Uh-huh.
So tired of sales.
Said no entrepreneur ever.
Okay. So I have newses. So this is the third week in a row that I've done 5 sales calls in a week.
Compared to
that's one
35 sales calls all of last year.
I probably did about that many all of last year. 30 or
Dude,
so.
like, I
Nice.
don't know, if this is not a win, what is a win?
It is a win. So I also got my royalty from my book launch on Amazon. Sold way better the first 2 weeks than it has since. It's still selling, but it's not selling like
How much
Like
are
it
you
was.
making from it?
well, I got a few $100s in. I think I got 300 and change in. But no. I took that money and I paid I talked to these folks for a while, and I'm pretty sure they're going to do what I want. But cleverly.com, they do lead gen off of LinkedIn,
Okay.
and they use your LinkedIn network to do it. And they use you have to sign up for LinkedIn Sales Navigator, and then they do the rest of the work. And they've promised me 2,000 qualified leads over the next month.
Email address.
Yes,
Wow.
They'll give you email addresses.
I'm pretty sure.
Well, what do you mean by
Well, they have to be, otherwise
Yeah.
it's not going to be a qualified lead. Like
Yeah.
with that.
And how much are they
So,
charging you for it?
$297. I
They're-
couldn't beat it even if I hired and trained my own people.
As long as these are legit leads.
Yeah.
I mean, this is
Shit. Hold on.
as good as it gets.
It's called Cleverly.
Yeah.
Shit. You know what? I want to hire them because you could use it for. Okay, so you're doing it to pull podcasts potential, but I could just hire them for that price. I'll take 2,000 leads for people that I
Bulldog
can
mindset.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
why not?
Yeah,
Coaching
that's the thing, is that I feel like,
See how it
let's say
works,
I get
though.
everything filled up, right?
Mhm.
Well, then I tell them how to qualify leads for podcast guests.
Are you sure they're going to give you email addresses?
1,000 prospects per month.
I have a feeling they may or may not. But either ways, if you have the names, you can probably push them into a hunter.io or something and find
Yes,
their
you can.
right? If that's what it is.
Yeah.
Are you just paying them for prospecting, or are you trying to
Yes.
do other things as well?
I think they do some of the outreach too.
Are you trying to get them to do that as well?
Even if they just gave me a list, I was happy with it. I can't remember exactly.
That's all you need to do, because anything more, you're just going to end up creating newer systems that you don't need to create right now.
Yeah.
You should
So
just
then I've
ask for
got
emails.
Yeah. So I'm fine tuning my email sequence,
Mm-hmm.
and I've already got a couple calls set up for next week. What seems to be happening now is that when I send out the emails between like Thursday and Monday, then I get the rest of the 5 calls booked like Thursday and Friday. So like I did 3 calls yesterday and 1 today. And then I had 1 on Wednesday that was somebody else that I had been following up with for a while. And the weeks before that are more or less the same. I think I had 3 on Friday last week. So yeah, I'm just kicking butt that way. But yeah, we're doing the onboarding this afternoon. And so
Onboarding.
yeah, so I'm onboarding them this afternoon.
Cleverly.
Yeah.
Okay, so you need to make sure they're giving you email addresses, otherwise they're just fucking around with you. But either ways, it's pretty good, even if they give you 2,000 email LinkedIn names
profiles, yeah,
of people that you're interested in.
Yeah, well,
addressing them.
Yeah, even if they just give me a list of LinkedIn profiles, there are tools out there that will convert those to email addresses.
Well, according to their website, they reach out to them, and
Yes,
send them a LinkedIn message, and they have good response rates on it. So
Yeah.
John.
Hmm.
Yeah. John,
yeah,
don't get seduced.
looks good. I mean, we'll see how it works out with Chuck, but
Yeah.
You know what I'm
anything that's
saying? Anything that's shiny object,
yeah,
the flywheel, keep
Yeah.
chewing it.
Yeah, but the thing is that, you know, if they give me 5, because I'm like, am I gonna get them all at the end of the month? And they're like, no. We'll give you, we'll give you several hundred a week. Okay. And the 297 is their 1,000 prospects, but they said that
They'll pump you up.
they bumped me up for 2 months. So
yeah.
It's
I mean, it's worth
solid.
it.
This
What
is-
happens?
You got to do it. There's no
Yeah.
question about it.
Yeah.
The only thing is, if it's going to be as good as you think it was.
well, we'll find out. That's the thing is I feel like I could try it for a couple of months.
Dude, this is as good as it gets. Like what you're doing right now, and you are still in week 4 of this process.
Yeah.
Right? From
Yep.
December when we were talking to where you are today, like week by
Yeah.
week, all we have done is made like every call we've just said,
Mhm.
are you going to stick to the plan?
Yeah.
Right? And keep on fine tuning that damn plan, which
Yep.
was
And that's the deal.
work one system.
Yep.
One system. Don't try to do 5 different systems. Don't try to do this. Don't try to do that. One
Yeah.
system. Get one metric going. How
Yep.
many
Yeah.
leads coming into the funnel, and everything else will take care of itself. This is
Yeah.
like,
The other
this is a
thing
testament
is
to
I've been doing a ton of research to see how I can improve my process.
exactly.
And
That's the beauty of it. The more you work this flywheel, the more
Yeah.
you do these things.
Yeah.
You would
and
have never done these things if you were still doing LinkedIn outreach and Twitter outreach,
yeah.
Facebook outreach, because you would have never had the
Yeah.
time and the energy to dedicate to fine-tuning one flywheel the way you're doing now.
Yeah. So the thing that I figured out with that is that I'm working on getting the people into the system still, but I've been working also on moving everything over so that it sends directly out of my Gmail, because I found that they're less likely to get trapped in spam traps.
Oh, yeah. Deliverability is the highest for Gmail.
And then the other thing is that I also figured out that most of the conventional wisdom out there through studies and other things that people have done is that most people drop off after 4 or 5 emails sending out leads, and the sweet spot is somewhere between 6 and 9 leads, or 6 and 9
emails.
Contact
touches,
points. Yeah.
contact points. And so my plan is to have that sequence, like Manny was talking about before, where I'm hitting them like 10 to 12 times.
Yeah.
Yep.
Probably 20.
Yeah.
Because who cares?
Yeah.
You're just gonna keep doing it. So you're
Of course, that
switching
sequence is turning into like this masterclass on how to sponsor podcasts.
Chuck at devchat.tv. Instead of that, now you're doing Chuck at gmail.com or something.
No, it's Chuck at devchat.tv, but it's
Then-
Google. It's Google Apps.
Oh, well, that may or may not change. Maybe that will change.
Yeah. But it comes off of the devchat.tv Google email servers instead of whatever HubSpot or whatever else uses.
Mhm.
So I should get better deliverability on that stuff. And yeah, I'm just working the process as much as I can to get in front of as many people as I can. But the other news is that let's see. So last week I talked to a bunch of people, and I had one person get with me and basically tell me, you know what, we decided not to go with it. I had a couple others that are just like, look, we're just finalizing this and deciding how much we want to buy from you. And then this week, I had 3 of the people that I talked to essentially have me send them invoices. So it's
Nice.
starting to come
Sweet.
through.
Dude.
It's just
How much? How much?
one was for 5,000, another one was for 3,000, another one was for like 1,000. I've got another one for 1,000 or so.
Dude, crushing it, man. And
I
this
have
start.
I have one that's looking at, they basically said, look, get with us in 2 weeks because we're definitely going to do this. but timing. So a few of them are figuring out their budget for this year. I don't know why they didn't do that last year, but
Yeah.
there you go.
You should be writing a case study on the flywheel. Literally, like from a month ago to where you are today is like a case study of the flywheel.
Yeah,
It's only getting better.
I'm kind of tempted to, because I could literally go to Podcast Movement and to like Podfest and essentially just do a workshop the day before and be like, here's how you do it.
No, that's the whole point. Then you would be away from your flywheel.
True.
You have to stick to this. You cannot be spending like literally everything else is a waste.
Yeah.
This is the only thing that's making money right now, and you got to keep churning it till the end of time.
No, I agree. You know, like, once I have everything filled up, then I start new shows and fill those up.
Dude, you don't even realize how good this is going to get. Like I'm sure you see the vision for this, right?
Oh yeah.
Let's say Cleverly gets you the leads. You automate all of that system from Cleverly into a funnel.
Into the other automated system.
You don't even touch it.
Let's
say you have a person who goes and finds the email leads, puts into the funnel.
Yep.
Funnel does all the work, and then you have a sales team that takes the calls and does the fulfillment or does the closing.
Yeah, that's the next piece once I have everything else automated.
We're building the most sophisticated flywheel, starting from the most scattered flywheel.
Yeah.
Starting from churning 5 different flywheels to like one flywheel that you're polishing and making it better and better and better and sweeter and sweeter and sweeter. Within a quarter, you could have the system working so well that you'd be like, man, we don't need any more sponsors. Now let's go create more podcasts. And that's the ultimate win for your business. Or you can be like, okay, 1 week a month I spend on sales calls. Everyone I schedule for that 1 week a month for those sales calls, and then the remaining time I'm free to do everything I need to do in the business. This is like this is freaking beautiful, man. I love it.
Well, and the way that I kind of see it too is that so let's say that I fill up all the spots on all the shows that I have, you know, I get this fine-tuned enough to where it just kind of runs on autopilot. And then so then what happens is so each month then I work with people and I'm like, okay, well, now you're going to qualify people, you know, we're full up for the next 2 or 3 months. So let's spend this month qualifying people on, you know, these couple of shows, new shows that I could start as sponsors or as hosts or as guests and get everything ironed out. And then they go back on to sales for the next 2 months and see how that works so that I'm opening up more inventory and then filling it.
Yeah. So, John, remember we talked about the idea of
and then I'll blow it up in June.
Yeah. Well, don't blow it up anytime sooner. Remember we talked about the idea of the simplicity on this side of complexity versus simplicity on far side of complexity?
Yeah.
This is simplicity on far side of complexity. And that's why you can never write a detailed enough manual for doing anything in life.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Right? You need outside perspective, or you need perspective beyond your own dimension sometimes to walk that path of complexity to get to simplicity on the far side. Anyone in their right mind could simply have said, hey man, just build a sales funnel, just get the leads in, qualify the lead, like just get the leads in, get them on the phone and close them. What's the big deal?
Right, exactly.
It takes 5 years to build a funnel that actually you can call a real fine-tuned machine. Even though people have written tons of books, The Ultimate Sales Machine, Chet Holmes wrote that book 20 years ago, which talks about exactly what you're talking about, right? Building a machine, building a lead pipeline, building a, you know, and all of those things. And Ready, Fire, Aim, he talks about building that one system, one optimized selling strategy. It's so good in theory, but it's so hard to put it in practice because the human condition is to get scattered. Inability to execute on or inability to understand the complexity at every phase of the process until you get to simplicity on the other side of complexity. But you have to walk you have to walk through the complex paths to get to simplicity. You can't just wake up one day and say, I'm going to design the baddest sales funnel and have it tomorrow and then it's working. And that's my problem with eMyth. Michael Gerber.
Why?
Michael Gerber, all his books are like, you just awaken the entrepreneur within. One day you decide you have this imagination of this amazing business and you have the systems and processes and you just put those systems and processes in place and the business works. And I'm like, dude, Does not work like that. You do not
True. Yeah.
imagine a system in your mind and just put it in words and it works. It never fucking happens like that. It's like saying one day the guy wakes up saying, I'm going to be now confident.
No, you don't know until you
Yeah,
actually try and
but
do it. Then, yeah.
I have
You have to
I have
walk
a
the path
but
of complexity.
on this, and that is that, and Ready Fire Aim also discusses this. Yeah, it's not the entrepreneur awakening per se. You know, that part. I mean, you really have to make the decisions and then commit to it. And you have to. The thing I think that you're saying is you have to figure out the system and then you have to stick with it. And that's
Mhm.
always been my problem, is that I get bored with the
Yeah.
system. I get bored doing the same thing day in and day out. I don't want to go do any more prospecting. But guess what? You know, that's kind of the process that I had to go through. So, but at the end of it, you know, you're talking about, you know, it doesn't always work that you're able to get the systems written down in place. But the flip side is, and Ready Fire Aim talks about this, is that at some point you're going to need to,
Mhm.
you know, and you may not be able to quantify all of the details of all the possible scenarios for all of the situations that you're doing on a regular basis, but yeah, you do need to get to the point where a lot of that is codified so that you have a starting place for the people that you're bringing in.
Okay, so you didn't disagree with anything I said. What you said was create systems as in written systems. Rather
Yeah,
than
but it
just have them
sounded
in your
like you
head.
were poo-pooing written systems. And
No.
I think what you were poo-pooing was you have this entrepreneur enlightenment, you write everything down, and then you're done.
Yeah, what I'm poo-pooing is the idea somehow that you wake up one day and you say, okay, I know the system. I think I'm going to build this business and it's going to have this system and it's going to work.
Right.
Right.
Fucking hell will never happen.
Yep.
You will wake up, you will think you will have the system and you'll try to execute it. Everything will break. And then you have to walk the path of complexity to actually build the real system that works. And then you can codify it, you can write it.
Yeah.
You should codify it, you should write it. Like that's the ongoing part of building a system is to codify it.
Yeah,
The more
but
you codify,
that's
the better your system becomes. But it doesn't come from imagination. You can only imagine
Right.
the biggest piece of it. Like I think I will do this.
yeah. Well, Ready
anything-
Fire Aim does this, right? It says you build the system that works to get you to $1 million. And you know, he kind of spells out, and you're spelling it out in more detail, it's going to be an ugly system.
Mhm.
And so then once you get to the $1 million, the next step is to refine it. And you do that by writing it down and thinking about it and going, oh, we could do this piece better and we could do that piece better. And
Yeah, it will always be an ugly system. For as long as the business exists, it will be an ugly system because there will always be a better way to put it than what you have put
Yeah.
it so far. It will always be a work in progress.
yeah.
So in Traction, Gino Wickman's book Traction, which is the
Mhm.
entrepreneurial operating system, EOS, he talks about the idea that, just do 20%, like 80-20 rule here. Do the 20%. That will give you the 80% result in your documentation effort. Create the 20% systems.
Mhm.
Keep on refining those 20% systems and you'll keep on getting better and better results. If you aim for 100%, they'll be obsolete in 6 months to a year. And then again, you'll be doing all of this shit and you will never get the amazing clarity you're thinking you're going to get from all of that.
Right.
So 20% system is good enough to really get your business moving. But again, to talk about that whole idea of like, you have to walk the complexity to come on to the other side of simplicity. And here's the thing, this could have been this could have been like really short circuited for you if you had a mentor.
Yes, I was going to say, if somebody could have told me to do this in the first place.
If you had a mentor
Yeah.
who walked this path, who knew exactly how to close sponsors,
Yeah.
or who knew how to get sponsors for a specific, like who knew how to get cold lead sponsored deals done.
Mhm.
If you had a mentor like that, you could have accomplished this within 1 year compared to trying to accomplish it in 5 years.
Yeah, but the problem with that is that I'm still in that weird place where not that many people have done this.
Well, no. The mentor doesn't need to know all of the whatever
Right.
the nuances of your thing. The mentor just has had to have walked the path.
Right. Fair.
If he has walked the path of taking cold leads from some online source, getting them on phone and closing them,
Mhm.
he knows what he's doing. He
Yeah.
or she knows what they're doing. If you had that mentor, that coach, it will skyrocket your success.
Yeah. Well, and I found I found a series of videos from a guy that basically walks you through all that stuff. But honestly, I never would have found it if I hadn't gone through what I had been going through and been looking for what I was
And
looking for.
I'm gonna go to say, I'm gonna go on to say that the videos will only have so much.
Right. Well, it's helping me
help-
refine it now, right?
Yeah, but even then, the contextual help of what that guy can tell you to do would be 10 times more valuable than 100 times more valuable than what you would find in the content itself, because
Yeah. No, that's fair.
the process, the improvements in life come from contextual feedback
Uh-huh.
or contextual learning, contextual progress, not progress, right? Today, what should I do? This week, what should I do? This month, what should I focus my energy on given where I'm at, right? Every
Yeah.
single time when I have a coaching client, the biggest thing they struggle with is the idea that they don't know what is the right thing to do at this stage of the business because they have not walked the path yet.
Yeah.
And they think that because they sign up for some course online or something like that, or because they sign up for a whole bunch of things, now suddenly they have the idea. No matter how much of a course I create for someone, it will never be as good as when someone says, hey, what should I do now? And because I've walked the path, I'll be like, you need to do this. That is immeasurably more powerful. John, you can comment this from the other perspective, but you've seen this in different areas of life. It's always the same, right?
Yeah.
That no amount of learning can get you that leaps, like 10x,
Yeah.
years and years of progress. But a person tells you, oh, don't do this, do that. That's like years of progress short-circuited in a minute.
Yeah.
Well, that's like hiring a personal trainer or somebody who can sit down and help you figure out your eating plan, or help, because you have somebody that you can work through this stuff with.
Maybe that is true too, but it's smaller, like the increments they can provide compared to what someone can do when you're talking about business and other areas of life where the increments
Right.
are huge. They're gigantic, like literally.
Yeah, you change what you're doing a little bit, and it.
Not even like you change what you're doing, and everything changes in the business, right?
It's what it causes is a paradigm shift where you see something that you didn't see. You see the world in a different way before, because when you have a certain paradigm or worldview, you have built-in limits, right?
Mhm.
So you have created your own self limits, right? But when you see things from a different perspective and you have a paradigm shift, then those things disappear. And so, for example, I mean, let's say that you're living, the normal life. Like, let's say that you're just working at a 9 to 5, not even like an office job, but like, let's say fast food industry, right? And you're
Right.
around all these people and that's all your friends and everyone, just like, some guy works construction, someone works at Arby's, whatever. Your perspective, like, you have all these limiting beliefs. Like, there's no way that you could possibly see ever creating a business or becoming a millionaire or even just getting a job as a software developer. But if someone comes in and shifts your perspective, you suddenly make this friend that's this guy that is running several businesses, and he also at one point worked a regular 9 to 5 job, and he shows you how he does what he does. Bam,
Right.
everything changes. Like, before you saw that, you could have maybe got there yourself, like, out over years and years of hard work
Maybe,
and reading
a
books.
very
And
small percentage.
right. So
Yeah, but you're right. It's the people that come in and change the way you think about what you're doing.
And that's usually because they have walked the path before you.
Yeah.
That's the most crucial thing to understand, right? You can
Well,
get a coach. You can get a coach who can guide you to a certain level, but unless the
Yeah.
coach has walked that path, unless the coach
No, I agree.
build
I
an
agree.
online business, you need the guy who's built an online business. You don't need a guy who's running a retail store or real estate investment firm to help you build an online business. So every business type is different, and finding that mentor can be exponentially more powerful than anything else.
yeah.
Well, the other thing is that one thing that I found, because I've worked with a few people that have kind of walked me through different things that they're doing that works for them. The other thing is that when you get to that kind of a paradigm shift, it's not just I'm thinking about this wrong, but it's also those results are possible, right? Because they're telling you not only this is how I got there, but they're telling you, I see that you're where I was at and you can get to where I have been, or, you know, where I am. Right. And so they're not just showing you the trail, but they're giving you a vision of where the top of the mountain is, or where you can get a better view of the valley, up the next couple of switchbacks, or however you want to think about that.
Yeah, they're telling you, don't take this trail, don't take this path because you will die on this path up to the mountain. Take this path, and climb like that in order to go up to the mountain.
You're trying to go straight up the mountain, and it's actually faster and easier to take this switchback over here.
It's immeasurable, like how much you can learn from a mentor compared to anything else. I do not believe there is anything more powerful than a mentor in this world today. In terms
it's not even like taking the switchback. It's being shown that you actually have wings, and you could actually fly up there.
Right.
Like
there's this thing called a motor.
Yeah.
And it'll push you up the mountain.
Right.
Yeah. In some ways, that's the right way to think about it, because you don't even know the limitations you have, and you're operating in a very small paradigm compared to what the mentor can see or tell you, because he or she has walked that path before you.
It's funny. Look, I mean, just look at my my coaching client who's doing the blockchain stuff, Gregory. Man, he his benefit, like he was smarter than me because he hired me, right?
Right.
And how many years did it take me to learn how to launch a product and build an audience in a blog? And then he started from zero, nothing, no YouTube channel, nothing, not even a blog, right?
Yep.
And we started after a year and a half, we launched his first product and he made $75,000 in like 4 days. And then he has a business now with monthly recurring revenue of like on an evergreen funnel of like 8K, right? Plus all the contracts and everything else that he's doing. And then just now, like this week, I'm waiting to hear the results, but he just launched now a membership program because, again, I knew how to do a membership program now. And he just sold, like in the first day, he sold like something like 50 slots at $50 a month. And he's estimating that he's going to sell 150. So he's going to go from essentially like, he will probably have an MRR on his business after 2 years of over $20,000, more than mine, more than like Bulldog mindset, like, because he knew exactly, because he got the advice to know exactly what to do, right? Without having to do that. So, I mean, just think about how much years of time he probably saved, a good like 7-8 years of time by doing that. So.
Yep.
Yeah, it's invaluable. That stuff is what changes game. And I think that there is never a time when you stop seeking that. Right? There's never a time where you say, "Oh, I know enough, so I don't need a coach or a mentor anymore."
Because I already know enough. I don't need a coach or a mentor anymore.
Maybe. Are you saying that we're doing a good enough job here?
I love the way you think.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Yeah, no, I agree. It makes sense. But yeah. So we've kind of been beating the sales horse for the last few weeks, but yeah, I'm kind of feel like I'm getting on top of it at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, the other thing is though, is that I'm not saying this like I'm on top of it, so no, I don't have to worry about it. No, I'm on top of it. I've got momentum. And so if I keep pushing now, now I can get it to actually take off.
So how many people did you put in the funnel now? Now we have real metrics. Now we have a lot better metrics than what you did last time around, or when you had in December, right? Now you know what's going on in this business way better.
Yeah, I have 300 and something. I don't have it right in front of me. But the open rate on those emails is like 75%. And the meeting rate's like 3 or 4%.
No. Let's one by one. 300 prospects.
Uh-huh.
How many emails on the average have each of them gotten?
4 or 5.
Okay. And how many phone calls? Scheduled?
15 or 16.
300 to 15, right?
Uh-huh.
That's 5%.
Yep.
And how many conversions from those right now? And what do you anticipated conversion, let's say?
So conversions right now, I probably got 3 or 4 to actually ask for invoices, and I probably have another 1 or 2 that are going to convert, I think.
So 6, right?
Yep.
Whatever the number, 300 prospects, 5% phone calls, that's 15, and
Mhm.
2% converted to sales.
Yep.
That's 6. Dude, now if all you did
Now I just have to pour more people in. Yeah.
pour more people all of next month, literally do this shit all over again next month, and don't get distracted. Fine tune your email marketing funnel, fine tune your sales process, record your sales calls, try to figure out what is a better way to sell, why are they not buying, like hire a freaking coach to help you on telesales or sales marketing, or like whatever it is, whatever it takes you. Go find a coach who teaches exactly how to do this, because there are tons of people who have done what you're trying to do. This is not the first time in the world that someone is trying to do a cold outreach and sell us. Anyone who's done this for radio, you could learn from them.
That's true.
Anyone who has done radio sales or who has led a team for radio sales, radio sponsorship sales, or TV sponsorship sales, magazine sponsorship sales, they're talking the same language.
Yep.
Right? So next month, you cannot, like February, you cannot deviate from this path. You actually have to walk this path even more. So if you only had 300 leads this month, you should be looking at 600 leads next month.
Yep.
I don't even know what Cleverly will do and how good they will be. Irrespective, you should still have 600 coming in.
Right.
So you still get 30 calls and you close 10 of them. Now you have like 10 closed February, 6 closed January. Maybe you close a few more in March, and now you don't have to worry about sales for a long time, right?
Yeah. But the thing is at that point, again, because I have momentum. So let's say that Cleverly gets me 2,000. And let's say, because that's what I paid them for, right? So let's say they deliver 2,000. Maybe they're not qualified as well as what I've, because I'm hitting people that I directly know are good prospects for me, right? Or at least I have a reasonable inkling that they are. So let's say that their leads are, 75% as good as mine. That means 1,500 of them are qualified enough. And so if that translates down to getting me 75 calls, right? And I have, that's still 30 new sponsors, which honestly probably fills up most of my stuff.
For the quarter or for the half the year?
For the quarter at least. And then, some of them are going to renew, but then I keep the momentum up, right? So then I start selling for the following quarter.
So yeah, now once you have this working,
then I can see how far I can push it.
You can be like very systematic about this, that you only do calls like week 1 and week 3 of the month, and the remaining weeks are for certain days for other parts of the business. Or you only do calls on Mondays and Wednesdays.
Right.
And everything else, all the other days are used for some other purpose, to the point where you cannot, until you can hire a salesperson to close this, you cannot stop this momentum.
Right. Yeah.
Until you can get someone trained to do exactly what you do, you have to keep doing the shit.
Yeah. But the thing is that if they're giving me a list of prospects, and I can have somebody convert them into, people going through the pipeline, and then the pipeline's automated. I mean, that whole first part of it is stuff that I don't even have to do. Right. So then I just pick up the sales calls, and then afterward, I make sure that my team on the back end, and we're pretty much there. I need to streamline that a little bit too, but, on the fulfillment end. but that's it. So then all I'm doing is the sale and making sure that the podcasts are going out. And then
Awesome.
I can get the make sure the podcasts are going out piece. The rest of that stuff that I'm doing off my plate.
Awesome.
So
You have to. You cannot let off the accelerator now.
yeah. But
And-
then that's the other thing we're talking about too, is then it's okay, well, a lot of the leads that we're pushing through, I wind up talking to them or they email me back and say, we're not trying to reach the kinds of developers you reach, whether it's, we're looking for Python developers or we're looking for people in CTO or director level, right? And so once I know what those markets are, that I've already got people telling me no because you're not in my market, then I can start those shows and then I can come back to them and sell to them.
Well, and one other
Maybe.
thing that you need with this is for now you need some referrals in those markets, right? So make some contacts. So let's say that you don't have a Python show. I mean, you should definitely get a Python show, but let's say for now you don't have a Python show and you're getting a lot of people that are saying, oh, we're trying to reach Python developers.
Right.
So you should potentially, because since that's a big one, reach out to one of the Python podcasts and say, hey, if I send you a sponsor, will you give me 25% of what the sponsor pays you?
Yeah.
That's
true. I do know Mike
I would
Kennedy.
take that deal.
He runs the big ones. So yeah.
Yeah. And then there you go. Then it's the same thing. You're selling it. You're just getting a little smaller piece of it, but you can hand it off. And then if you're getting enough of those, and obviously you can start your own podcast, and then
maybe, but I wouldn't even worry about that part.
No, I'm not going to worry about that until I'm full. I have
Yeah.
a couple that
full is first. Yep, full is first.
I have a couple
First
that I
goal is to
already
just-
represent that I'm
Mhm.
going to try and fill because I've
Mhm.
already got but yeah.
Dude, once you have think of all the possibilities for this business. You could continue to build a podcast network, or you could build a podcast sales business, a podcast ad sales business, which is all about
Yeah.
just getting people sponsorships. Like, you tell us
Yeah.
what kind of businesses you cater to. We will get you sponsorships and we'll take a percentage and we'll do all the calling and closing on our behalf, right?
Yeah.
So the possibilities are endless. And this is just the medium has just started. Like, podcasting, I think, just did $1 billion in ad revenue last year, or in sponsorship revenue last year.
Yeah, I have a friend that went to Silicon Slopes is the local tech scene conference. I didn't go because I'm trying to sell stuff instead of going to conferences. But yeah, they had the CEO of iHeartRadio get up, and yeah, they said that podcast is the largest growing segment for paid advertising.
It will kill radio. We know that. Radio will be gone before you know it.
I don't know if it'll kill it, but it's definitely going to put a big ding in it because you can listen to it on demand and you can pick what you want.
Exactly. Radio as we know it, which is like being like people shoving stuff down your throat, which you don't want. I don't think that continues to exist for very long once you can pick and choose what you want to listen to.
Yeah.
And that is the whole idea of podcasts, right?
Well, yeah, and you can do the same thing with playlists on your phone.
Yeah. So I think $1 billion in ad revenue on podcasts is it's ridiculous. Because if you compare it to radio ad revenue, which is probably, I don't even know, maybe $50-100 billion today. Imagine what podcast future is.
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably stay in the tech space for a while and fill that up, but yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying, like, you got to master this in order to grow this business dramatically, and there's plenty of opportunity to grow this business dramatically if you just stick your lane.
Yeah.
Don't fuck around.
Yeah, but I've had conversations with other podcasters in the programming space too that have One in particular, he tried to start doing this a couple of years ago, and he basically told me it was too early. But I don't think he tried to build a system like this, right?
And the problem with shit like that is unless you have the revenue and the fund, like unless you have done it, unless you know how to do it, and you have the money to sustain a business like that, you're going to go out of business very quickly.
Yeah.
Because you're going to go and do it for someone else when you don't even know how the system is done.
Well, he runs his own podcasts and he fills up ads on there enough to pay for whatever he's paying for. I don't know if he if he gets contracts or stuff to fill the rest of his.
Yeah, maybe it would have worked.
Yeah.
Maybe 9,000. But anyways, your business has enough legs as by itself, so you don't really have to worry about anything else. You just have to fill those slots.
Yeah.
And then worry about the next thing later on.
Yeah.
Just don't deviate from the flywheel.
Nope.
That's what I'm trying to do now. 5 book summaries a week. So
heck yeah.
Nothing more.
Yep.
Just don't deviate from the flywheel is the mantra that I'm going for.
Yep. Well, the thing is there are other things I want to go into, but I'm not giving myself permission to even really think too much about those until I've got everything full, and until this is running on its own, right?
4 or 5 weeks ago, you were talking about starting your courses, your audio courses, and then you were talking about writing the book and publishing the book and doing all of that work, right?
Yeah.
Now you can't even imagine it.
Yeah, I'm not really thinking too deeply about that.
Because you have a legit business that you need to fulfill here.
Yeah.
Back then you were distracted. You were looking for shiny objects because your business was struggling.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still kind of playing with the idea of opening up some group coaching, but honestly, if I even do that, it's yeah.
Why? It won't be easy to fulfill as you think, because now you have to reach out to a different market. If it was to the same market, I would actually think, yeah, that's a good idea because you can sell it on podcast and you can fulfill it all the way. But here, the market you're catering to is developers who are listening to your shows, and suddenly now you're telling them, hey, let me show you precisely how I can close, how to close.
No, it would be group coaching on something else.
Yeah, there's just no need, simply because when I hear you say that, there's like $100 bills on the floor, and you're like, oh, I need to go and see if I can go find some place where I can get some $100 bills and pick them up. Like, just pick up the ones that are at your feet right now. Because if you were hitting a point where you were not able to just literally do this and generate money, then I would say, yeah, like you need to figure out something else.
Yeah,
I
was looking at that mostly when I wasn't sure if this was actually going to come around, right?
Yeah.
Because I did, over the course of the year already, I've probably done 13 to 15 calls. I need to go look at the actual numbers.
Yeah.
And none of them closed, right? And so I'm going, okay, did the market move, right? Do I need to come up with something else before all the money's gone? And so that's where I was earlier in the week, this week, and late last week. But now I've actually had some close. I've got a couple more that look like they're going to solidly close. And so now I'm in a different place, right? Now I'm not going, okay, you know what? I still feel like I need to at least be thinking about, long-term revenues, that aren't necessarily sponsorship. But I need to get this humming on its own first before I can go put anything behind those other things.
I don't think you should be thinking about that, because any energy you spend on that is just a waste, because when you arrive at that point, your business will be in a different phase and you will probably do different things than what you're thinking about right now.
Maybe.
So all of that is energy wasted compared to energy focused on let's close more people on the freaking phone calls, right? Everything else is a waste at this stage of the business. It's an opportunity cost problem. Right now, this is the opportunity. Any time, effort, money spent away from this opportunity is a giant waste of time and giant waste of money, because time is money.
Maybe. I'm still, I don't know. But if I'm doing that, it's 10% of my time or less.
It should not be, man. You're unnecessarily, 5 weeks ago when we started this discussion, and you slowly but surely came around to the idea of the flywheel and focusing on this one thing. And you've been good, like you've been slowly like cutting away and doing that one thing. There is no need whatsoever to walk away from something that's just started to work. It's just showing signs of life.
No, I'm not going to walk away from it.
No, as in walk away from 100% commitment to it. That's seduction. That's shiny object.
Yeah, well, when I do shiny object, it feels different than this. I guess I'm not 100% secure on this yet. Right?
Dude, if you don't make this primary business model work, this business will never work. You might as well walk away from this business. If you can't figure this out.
Yeah, that's true. If I can't figure this out, I've got other problems.
The biggest problem is drowning in opportunities.
Uh-huh.
Right? If you can't make the core business work, well, then don't. This business isn't going to work. And the more you have the plan B brewing in your background, the less you will be able to do plan A very well. You got to burn the bridges, commit to the damn thing all the way. Because the more trepidation you have for like, oh man, I don't know if it'll work, the less conviction you will bring in your sales calls.
Yeah.
I'm serious. The less you're committed to that thing working, the less you will sell.
Fair.
If you knew that I have to freaking make this work or nothing happens, like this business dies.
Yeah.
Now you will find a way. And that's when you will actually fine tune and.
Well, and that's where my brain's been at.
So stay there.
Okay.
I think anything other than that is you are going back to the shiny object. Don't do that. Like its shiny object shows up in various shapes and forms. You think it just shows up in like a book writing or a course. This is also
shiny object is usually I'd rather do that than do this.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, it's not I'd rather be doing the other thing. It's been the what if this doesn't work? But I really feel I've got to make this work, or
Yeah. What you're saying is just another form of shiny object where you're saying, okay, maybe I'll do this and this. No, shiny object. There is only one thing this business needs to do, which is to sell sponsorships. If this business is going to be a legit business, otherwise you'll always be doing a lot of things, hoping that one of them will work.
Yeah.
You will never really create momentum in the business.
Well, and honestly, that's kind of the place I got to mostly out of panic.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, because you've never really focused on your flywheel like you have in the last 1 month.
Right. And that's the deal is, I've gotten to the place where I'm just like, I've just focused on it and worked it.
So part of the struggle for 4 or 5 years was the fact that you were still thinking that there's 5 different revenue sources and I need one of them to work really well while I do this and while I do that and all of that shit. Now you're saying, no, I'm just going to commit to this damn revenue source, make it so damn good, and then I'll think about anything else.
Right.
That's a completely different mindset.
Yep.
Because I think all of last year, we spent a lot of calls talking about how about I do this, how about I do that, how about I do this, how about I do that.
we did.
Right. And I think probably all of us did that to a certain extent, but you definitely had a lot of like a different from the very core part of the business itself.
Yeah.
Like if I look at your business as.
Totally agree. By the way, because that's what I did.
Okay. Tell me about it.
I did that.
Yep. So I think Manny's distracted.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah. And I did go and
it's on my podcast.
Chase all that stuff. So yeah, I just need to buckle down and hammer it out.
This guy at the club, he came up to me and he was like, I totally agree with you. This is exactly what I was doing with my business.
Oh,
because I was struggling. And what you're saying, tell your friend that you're right.
Nice.
But yeah, I think that flywheel principle isn't really a joke. It's the ultimate,
No.
like it's the truth of business if we take
Yeah.
it to heart.
Yep. All right. Well, I'm all in. So
I think that's all we do in this call. Just get you back into
I know, right?
spinning the flywheel. Like just do the flywheel. This call is a case study for how to if someone watched these calls for the last probably 6 weeks, this is a case study on a flywheel building.
Yeah.
I think Jim Collins would be
Yeah.
very proud of what we're doing here.
Maybe we should see if we get him on. That'd be cool.
That'd be amazing. We could if we could just send him like, hey man, watch these 5 hours of our jibber jabber. And yeah, I
Case
think you will
study.
like it. And he's like, man, Jeff Bezos invited me a few weeks ago, but I'm considering, should I go to Amazon or should I come to you guys on Entree Programmers Podcast?
Yeah. He'll come here. He likes Manny more than he likes Jeff.
I hope so. But it's good, man. I think sticking to the flywheel is the only way you will make this business a giant success. Otherwise, you will have middling successes.
That's true. But the thing that I'm seeing too is that like the Cleverly thing, right? I mean, if they're going to put way more people in front of me than I can get to on my own, right? And so then it's and so then it's okay. Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, we'll see, right?
Yeah.
If they do their job, they will. And then it's okay. So now how do I make the next piece?
I would say this,
do
man.
more?
I would say this. Right now, don't count on them. Make sure you're working your team to get your leads as well. And keep them in 2 separate funnels.
Exactly.
Work the Cleverly funnel separately. Work this funnel separately. Track them separately. Because that's when you know how good those leads are compared to how good your the leads you're getting are.
That's fair.
Yeah. So that way you will know if Clever is doing a good job at all for you.
Yeah.
Or you're wasting your time and opportunity. Well, if they get the phone calls, that's still worth it. But at least you'll know from 2,000 leads, I got 10 calls compared to from 300 leads, I got 75 or 15 calls, which skews everything majorly.
Right.
But still, I would play Cleverly for that.
Yeah.
Get me 10 calls. I'll pay you $200 a month. Boom.
Yep.
How about I pay you $1,000 a month? Get me 50 calls, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
But keep them separate so you're
I like
measuring
that.
different cohorts.
Yeah. Because I can copy the process. Like in the tool that I'm using, I can literally just copy it and then just.
Yeah. You should have multiple funnels going on at the same time. Basically, that's what you're doing. 2 separate funnels for 2 different lead sources.
Yeah.
Did you get your team involved in it as well? Or you've been doing
Not
it
yet.
yourself?
I'm working on that right now because we had the conversation on Monday where I basically went to him and said, look, we're cutting down the show notes to this. I'm actually going to have my hosts on my podcast actually write a paragraph summary and, put all the links, including the pics, make sure all of those are in the chat because the editors get the chat log. And then I was like, you just have to you just literally have to copy and paste out of the chat log. And my editor said, oh, we can do that. And we won't charge you any more for it. And so these folks doing the show notes, I just need to literally just get them on board with finding me leads.
Yeah.
That is your highest leverage job right now.
Yes. So
seriously, I'm not even thinking like anything more important than that.
Yeah. So my plan is to get that done today. And that way on Monday, I'm going to send it to them this afternoon. But then on Monday, hopefully, if they have any questions, we can kind of address it in our
Aren't
team
they
meeting.
local?
2 of them are, not all of them.
Dude, if they're local, just teach them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be 10 times more effective than them watching some video and not feeling engaged with it.
I should just have them meet me for lunch.
Do things that do not scale. This is one of those things that does not scale as well as when you can do it in person. It will change the dynamic of the situation. You can teach them everything from the ground up. I do not think even if you spend 5 hours on this, it will be money and time very well spent compared to them spending 20 hours on show notes.
Yeah.
because you are literally giving them your DNA of how I do this.
Yep.
Yeah.
And imagine how much time you save from that. The reason why I'm saying you should do that is because we don't know what Cleverly will give you.
That's
This
true.
might just be a complete hack. You spend your
Yeah.
time, you waste your money, but you don't want to stop the momentum right now. You actually want
No,
to
I
double up
don't.
on the momentum. Right?
Yeah, if I can get
There's-
way more momentum.
There's nothing wrong with having 2,000 plus another 500 from your own source. Who cares?
Yeah.
Get the fucking leads.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
anytime you spend on training your people on these core operations of the business, dude, highest leverage, literally the highest leverage.
Yep.
Totally worth it. They're learning from you. They're going to do the job exactly as good as you do. They will get you the two. If you got 200 leads this week and there are 3 guys who do that, they're going to get you 300 leads. You're the king of the
Yep.
jungle.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're going to do a better job if you teach them in person rather than just record a video which you're not too
Yeah.
excited about and they're watching on Loom and they're like, ah, fuck this. Okay, I'll do some shit.
Yeah,
Do
that's
it live
true.
if anything, like the 2 people on the call plus the other people on Skype or something, and get everyone in the meeting room or on the Zoom call and walk them through the whole process.
Yeah.
Let them ask questions, let them exchange ideas. This is part of the systems training that nobody told us about. In eMyth, Michael Gerber doesn't believe or doesn't talk about the idea that you actually need to do these nuts and bolts things to create your systems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in Clockwork and in Build a Business, Not a Job, these guys actually talk about these ideas because they're much more
Yeah.
realistic in approach. Building a system is not simple as writing a document. It's actually an interactive process. You tell
Yep.
them, you work
Yeah.
with them, you teach them, they ask you questions, and they're like, oh, this, that. And what's more powerful than you building the document? Them building the document.
Yeah.
Them building
That's
the training document. Because when they build a training document, they've got everything figured out. They know all the steps.
Tell you my story.
Yeah.
Love it.
All about focus.
Okay. When they know, when you can, like, this is what I've done with like hiring my writers.
Mhm.
I get on the call, I teach them my whole, like, basically everything, my DNA of how I do it. But then I expect them to go and write the documents. I never write the document.
Right.
I never create any kind of training document because it's a waste of my time. And I'm not good at it. I hate that process. But I just keep hiring, like every time I hire, I ask the new one to go through the document and they're like, oh my God, I didn't understand anything. I'm like, all right, well, talk to the person who created it so you can improve it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that way, that document creation process is so much more involved and so much more out of my hair.
Yep. Yeah, I'm just gonna message them on Discord right now and ask them when they can meet.
Yeah, whether it's today or tomorrow or Monday, who cares? Just meet in person. You will get so much bandwidth out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Wow.
think it's worth it.
You will get 10x more return out of that investment of time. Because this is a core part of your business right now until you find someone else to fulfill it. And these are the things that I feel a mentor can teach us way better than
Mm-hmm.
like us, because you spent a whole week trying to think how to make this work instead of just getting on a freaking meeting with them on Monday and just getting on a whiteboard or on a computer and just showing them everything.
Yeah.
You were like, oh, let me create a system and process and all those things, and no, you had to do things that did not scale. And fucking eMyth, Michael Gerber would never tell you that, because it's a pie in the sky. Imagine the perfect system, write it, create the damn system, and then tell everyone about it. No, you wasted a whole week in the process. Right?
Yeah. I mean,
That's the nuts and bolts
Yeah.
stuff that the pie in the sky books can never give you. And it's almost like you only learn from other people's experiences sometimes.
right. Makes sense.
Now, a lot
Yeah,
of
I just
people
sent him
are
a message.
Mhm. A lot of people are probably thinking, does Manny hate eMyth? I don't. I love
I
the
was
book.
just thinking Michael Gerber shit in your oatmeal at some point. Like,
No, I had Michael Gerber on my podcast.
yeah.
I like the guy. I think he's got a great
He's
book
moved a
and
lot of people out of the manager role and into the
Yeah.
entrepreneur role.
a lot
So
of the technician role into the entrepreneur.
Yeah.
He has. But what happens with a lot of his books are they're so fantasy like.
Right.
Oh my God, if you just created a practice of one and then you replicated it and now you have a business and now you replicate it, now you have an enterprise. And you're like, dude, how do you really do it? Nothing in there. It's just a
Well,
freaking
yeah.
fantasy story of just do it.
Yeah.
And if you
Well,
just did
Have
it,
you
it will all
listened to
work.
the audiobook?
Yeah, he's got a consulting business, remember.
Yeah.
The audiobook, honestly, it's freaking funny because it's like a seminar on tape. So it's boom, bum, 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 between
Oh,
each
yeah.
of the.
So I love Michael Gerber. I think he changed the game for entrepreneurs.
Oh,
right?
totally.
He did a great job. But still, I don't believe that book is enough to guide people, because it can get you wrong on the wrong path of thinking
Yeah.
that you can just create systems out of thin air and everything will work. And that's where it's really faulty, and it's a dangerous way to approach business.
Yeah.
And that's where I think books like Clockwork and Build a Business, Not a Job are more important, because they kind of force you to realize the realities of day-to-day system building, which is not as simple as a one-day job. It's a job of a lifetime.
I guess the thing that I would say about those, though, is that Michael Gerber kind of gives you the high level framework,
Mm-hmm.
and then Clockwork and Build a Business, Not a Job, and some of these others, they give you a framework too, but they're much more focused on the process of
The nuts and bolts of
focusing and
application.
refining and getting to the nuts and bolts. Then his idea is much more around, hey, quit doing all the stuff you shouldn't be doing and start focusing on the stuff you should be doing.
Which is a great idea if it's a great idea, is what I'm saying. But it's not the reality of business.
It's not the implementation part.
The reality of the business actually requires you to do a lot of that shit. While you're doing it, you create just a little bit of system to get to the next level, or you don't create any system, but you train the team to let them create. Like all of those nuts and bolts intricacies, those are way more painful than you see in the book.
Yeah.
And those are what will set entrepreneurs back for months, if not years. Like, I am shocked you spent a whole week not doing this. Why? Because you got yourself in the head that I need to create a system and process for all of this.
Uh-huh.
And that was bad. That was wrong thinking. You actually had to go and do this thing and do the things that do not scale in this phase. You cannot do Michael Gerber at this stage. You literally have to do, you have to teach in order to get them to learn as quickly as possible. And then they can do the Michael Gerber thing.
Right.
So in some ways that cloud pie in the sky can actually be very dangerous when you're starting off, because you start thinking that that's how you build a business. That you have to have all of these systems and processes and magic and this and that, and then now is when you start. No, no, you're gonna die if that's now is when you start.
Yeah, makes sense.
And that's why the reason why I'm kind of hating on the book and not so much on Michael Gerber himself is because in the book he often relates to the idea of that one awakening he had when he decided that the sales was all a system and all he had to do was put a system for the sales process and everything would work, and that's how his business started and it grew and blah blah blah. Dude, you're so many things you did not tell in this process.
Yeah.
And so many people can fall for this myth that or this idea now you have created, this fantasy you have created, that, oh, I just have this vision of a business. Now let me go and create this business.
Yep.
So fucking dangerous. So fucking dangerous. But still, everyone who's listening, you must read eMyth.
Yep.
You must read eMyth, because it is, the fantasy is still a starting point. You still need to understand that fantasy in order to get this to work. But at the same time, it's not enough.
Yep.
The fantasy is just a fantasy. You got to get to nuts and bolts to make it work. And that is way, way, way more important. And that's where I think the other books are more useful.
Well, we talked a whole lot about what I've got going on.
Yeah.
What about you guys?
5 book summaries a week.
Good.
I'm not even looking at my numbers for the entrepreneur. I haven't looked at my numbers since
Really?
yesterday. Yeah.
That's impressive. Okay.
Yeah, I
That's
just
good.
said no more looking at the numbers. I'll
Yep.
just let the emails go and let it be, whatever it is.
Yeah. Yeah, looking at the numbers is sort of like getting on an airplane and then like ringing the little flight attendant bell and being like, just checking everything is going good with the flight. Maybe you could ask the pilot, just want to make sure we're not going to crash or anything. It's like, doesn't fucking matter because you're strapped in here, the door's closed, so it doesn't matter. You're on the plane, wherever the plane's going, that's where you're going. So
Yeah.
like,
Yep.
Yeah.
no
It's the worst. Like, I can understand early on you're almost trying to fine tune everything, and every day you're writing new emails to kind of cater to the campaign. But as you learn to do launches and as you've done more, if you look at numbers, you're just setting yourself up for disaster because you're just in your head, you're like giving so much value to, unless you're conducting a real experiment where you're trying to change things,
Yeah.
which you should be doing early on in your launches. But at some point, when you've done enough of these things, you just say, don't need to even obsess over it.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, I'll take a look at the results on Sunday and then decide the next move.
Yep.
All right. I'll take a look at the learnings from everything on Sunday, not right now.
So I got membership thumping along, 432 members in Bulldog Mindset now. It's been I've been getting about 3 new members a day, but I've also been dropping like members faster too. So 1 or
What's
2
your
a
churn?
day.
Oh, wow.
For January, it's like 14%. So a lot of free
14% off.
of total members.
Wow. That's a huge churn rate, man.
I think, or is it? How do they calculate it? Is it of total, or maybe
Of the
I think they
new-
calculate. No, of the new. That's what they calculate. Yeah.
No. It
Or
really
of-
depends. It really
let me
depends
see.
on the measurements numbers they're doing.
Let me see how they're calculating it analytics wise.
Well, how many
Right,
people
but-
left the membership? Let me just ask you that.
Yeah. So let me pull up the numbers for January.
Did 50 people leave? In which case it is 14% of total.
Let's see. Okay. So for January, 105 new subscriptions, 76 churned.
76 canceled?
Yes. Now some of them are upgrades, but a majority of them are cancel. So
76 canceled.
15% churn rate.
That is right. It's not the overall.
Yeah, of the overall. Yeah. So
That's not good.
it's fine. It's fine for trial memberships. Remember,
No,
it's like
yeah, but remember,
if I didn't do the trial, I would have probably half as many members joined in January, but I would have like a fifth of the churn, if not lower than that. Like my churn rate was consistently like 6% until I added the $7 trial. So $7 trial is it's better to get people in than not, right? So that's the thing, is like you could turn it off and have really good churn rate numbers, but
yeah,
as long as there is overall growth, then I'm happy, right? So
which is true.
yeah, 105 to 76. That's
You just don't know the
really
lifetime value, so you can't really evaluate what's the worth of people coming in at $7 a month compared to people coming in at $29 a month compared to people who are paying off for the whole year.
Well, those people, yeah. I mean, I can kind of pull them in on the different offers on the cohorts. So actually, I can look at the $7 trials to see what they look like in isolation. So, because there are different offers. So the $7 trials, here's the stats for that. In November, there were 39 new ones. Okay. In December, there was 115 people came in on the trial, and 20 of them churned. In January, 63 people came on in the trial, and 50 people churned from the trial.
That is
So
yeah.
even the trial still has a growth rate, but the trial has a churn rate of like somewhere around 20%.
Wow.
So whereas the regular stuff doesn't. Like if I just throw in
At 14%, that's not 20%. That's more like 30 or 40% from what you're telling me.
Oh, well, this is of the overall churn rate. So
Yeah. No, you have to look at
Yeah.
trial churn as a separate cohorts.
Yeah, I'm just
right?
looking at
Yeah.
the stats on, but everything else is like churning at, yeah, still 6.7% on average. So for regular stuff. So, but MRR is growing. That's the key piece there. So we'll see.
Yeah.
It's better to have the trial than not. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, you're right, because you don't have any cost. Your CAC is zero, in the sense you're
Exactly.
not actually, your customer acquisition cost is not something you track,
Yeah.
or it's not something that you value per se, or
Right.
not something that's important in the business, because it's assumption it's coming from your organic traffic, so you're not paying for it. If you were paying for it, maybe you would put in different controls and metrics to figure
yeah,
out what to do.
then it'd
Yeah.
be a big, then it wouldn't be worth it if you're getting $7 trials and you're paying to acquire those trials, right? And they're like half of them are canceling for the most part.
That's when testing comes into play. You have to be
Yeah.
aggressively testing to see which ones will sustain and which ones will not.
But I've got some good additions. So actually I have 12 Bluehost signups from members this, because one of the lessons has a homework to sign up for Bluehost, like to create your website. So 12 signups, that's like over $1,200 additional revenue, and then a few signups from Thrive Themes, another few $100s of revenue there. So the value of the customers is a little bit higher than what is even in there. But
yeah, you are just in the MRR business game, and that's totally fine, because your CAC is, who cares about your customer acquisition cost?
until I'm paying for it, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. Eventually, if I can pay for it. But
And that's why probably it's good to stay organic for now, to
Yeah.
be able to get enough momentum on one side of the business rather than try to do two different things at the same time.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because then you will be looking at a completely different set of metrics compared to the organic, and trying
And
to
then
validate if that works.
I'm in the process of hiring right now too. I've got 3 job. I'm trying to get. I've got 3 job openings right now, and I'm doing one. I've got all 3 listed on the onlinejobs.ph. So I've got an email.
Can I apply?
What's that? Can you apply? Yes. I'm trying to hire an email and web direct response copywriter. I'm also hiring them through the copy chief, or I put a job in there as well. And then a YouTube researcher and the project manager / assistant. So those are the roles that I need the most. The project manager would be really good. So
Yeah, project manager is probably a key piece of this whole puzzle.
yeah. Yep. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. And still pumping.
When are you launching the business component?
Not until I still have to launch. Actually, hopefully, if I get the project manager, then they can do some of the book launches for me. But I still have to do book launch for Simple Programmer, 2 of them, and then I think that's the major thing that's has to go still. Well, the webinar has to be finished, so that has to be recorded. So we're working on a webinar funnel, and yeah, after that, then the next priority is the business level tier. So
That's good. I think it's good. Like, you got your MRR to what, 12K maybe? 30,
yeah, it's about
11,
12K. Yeah.
So then any new experiment is much easier to conduct.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
When you have that many members to try to offer them an upgrade, it'll be a very easy test compared to early on in the business.
Yeah. Yep.
See, at this,
And,
for some
I'm
reason,
doing-
at this phase,
yeah.
it doesn't sound like a distraction compared to what you were talking about, Chuck, right? So there's a
Right.
big distinction here why what John is saying doesn't feel like a distraction at all, like launching the business upgrade of his membership, because everything is almost the same,
Yeah.
except that there's just, in terms of fulfillment, John's not going to do much differently. He's just going to have another video and another call. So all of that is the same. The only thing is copy and marketing side of things that will add to whatever he's already done. And it's almost like we already did that. So why don't we just copy all of whatever we had done to this side of the equation? So that's why it's like right on point. But
Yeah.
you going from sponsorships to like completely different,
Yeah.
that is a fucking distraction.
Yeah, because it's a completely different model. It's a
Yeah.
lot more work.
Yeah. If you're
But
just
also-
adding on to something in the sponsorship game, maybe we, like what John was saying, which was like maybe offer referral fees, and even that you don't need to do right now. Maybe later on, once you fill your own pipe.
Yeah, I mean, the only other thing that I've looked at, just to kind of play off of this point a little bit, adding is like having a package for, if you're a conference, here's the conference promotion package. If you're trying to hire people and you want a sponsor to get applicants in, here's the package for that, right? And so, we just promote it a little different and package it up a little bit different, but
Yeah,
ultimately we fulfill it the same way.
Yeah, that's part of the sponsorship sales, and that's good because you're improving that. You're improving your funnel. You're cleaning up the funnel. You're making everything streamlined and processed and stuff like that.
Yep.
So that's good. That's not going away from the funnel or going away
Yeah.
from the flywheel.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what you should do is save.
Oh, the Bonjoro test is also working really well so far. Let me see how many have gone through, but it's converting twice as well. People are buying membership twice as often if I have sent them a Bonjoro
Only
they've
after they
watched.
watch the one video.
Yeah, when I did it before they watched the one video, it actually hurt the conversion.
Why do you think that is?
Because they got too many emails from me, because they didn't know who I was, because they weren't invested enough. So,
Or because you came across as too eager.
and well, I didn't pitch them really anything there. I think more they were less likely to open the training video than it was like, I don't know, whatever it was. I've sent now 57 people that I've encouraged them to watch the sales video right after they've watched a training video. And of those 57 people, let me see how many of them converted. It's a pretty good number. It's like, let's see, Bonjoro sent after training. Looking at 10. So out of 57 people that came into the funnel and I sent the Bonjoro after they watched one of the trainings, 10 of them converted. That's
insane.
And then compared to the ones that I did not send after training, only 4 people converted.
Out of the 57 on that side.
Yes.
Who watched the video?
I don't know if they watched the video. Like, I'm not tracking that.
Then then that's not even a comparable.
No, it's who I sent the video to.
I thought you were splitting them after they all watched the first video.
After they've watched a training video, any training video.
Yeah. So you're splitting at that point.
Yes.
Okay.
And then half of them I'm sending of Bonjoro and half of them I'm not. The ones that I sent the Bonjoro, 10 of them converted. The ones I did not, only 4 of them converted. So yeah, so it's looking like a double. So it's definitely worth doing. So
yeah,
at this point, I mean, that's a pretty good amount of people that have come through. I'd like to get about 200 or 300 people through, and then I'll
have really
know. But at this point, it looks like it'll be worth it. So
yeah,
and then the next test for the Bonjoro will be to hire a hot girl to send them the messages after they watch the training video and see how much.
I'd like to see that. Hi, I'm John Sonmez. I'd like to invite you to join Bulldog Mindset.
I'm John Sonmez, and I'm the real Bulldog.
I'll just have I'll be like, I work for, I'm one of the administrative assistants at Bulldog Mindset, and we'd really like it if you would join us. I wanted to send you a personal video that'll convert like crazy.
Yeah, I wanted a hair flip. Send you a hair flip.
And if you want to follow me on Instagram, I have 1 million subscribers there. So
yeah,
choice is yours. Bulldog or Instagram.
Oh,
So we'll see. But yeah, I'm trying to make trials stick to, like, I send every member a personal video, obviously every new member, but
Mm-hmm.
and I try to get them to join the Facebook group and they introduce themselves and comment, because getting into the Facebook group and being active in there, I figure is the biggest.
Dude,
stake.
you would love
Probably.
the automatic customer as you get towards the end of that book.
Oh, I finished it. I finished it today. Yeah.
Okay, so now you know.
It's
Like,
pretty basic though. It's like there's
yeah.
nothing in there that's I mean, onboarding, getting people to use the thing, right? That's so yeah. So I don't know. I have to
I
think of
mean,
some more
all the
strategy.
metrics he talks about probably do not apply to you because you're not paying for advertising, so
Right.
it doesn't
Right.
work.
But yeah, I don't know. I got to figure out some other. A lot of people that come in for the $7 trial, they just want to like look and see, and they have no interest in actually.
yeah, they're tire kickers.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean that you can't figure out a way to convert them to long term. So
Yeah.
Well, how often do you make the upgrade offer? Annual.
the annual, it goes out when they first buy. It's an upsell,
Mm-hmm.
and then I think after 2 months of membership, I have to look and see if we've got that implemented. That's where I had it. That then they'll be offered the.
That's one of the things he was talking about in an automatic customer. Like if you can get them to sign up for annual, you're gonna have them stick around for a very long time.
Yeah.
Right? That's like, I'll be back in a minute too.
Okay.
You can also go.
Oh, sorry. Last piece, can you just add a list?
All right.
Of resources that you recently added?
I'll just drink my
FYI,
coffee.
The RJ Reliance resources, and then just include their roles and emails, just so people have them.
We should have just wrapped this up. Apparently.
Say that again? At least the whole core team. Let's start there. I can do that.
Or how long I'm going to be sitting here.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I feel like I need to get some elevator music.
Draft wheels. Yeah. So this is going to kind of fall back to that whole racy thing, which Pradeep is working on. So maybe.
Everybody has to pee at the same time.
Last time we had a file. We did it for one of the groups. Give you an example. I think we'll probably start with the racy, so maybe we'll push this one down a little bit. Yeah, by the way, if I'm ever hard to reach on Jabber or anything, or on email, just I'll shoot you my cell phone. Like my Jabber just hangs at least twice a day at this point, so I'm just using
All right. We should just wrap this up.
I know.
We should probably do our thoughts, but I guess we'll wait for Chuck. There he is. So. All right. Shall we do our thoughts for the week?
Let's do this.
Yes.
I thought we had a lot more to talk about today.
I don't know. Do you have anything else? We've
We've
got.
run longer than we normally do. So.
Nah, I'm just kidding. I'm just think we had enough for today.
So my thoughts are I have 6 other business ideas I want to pursue, and I'm waiting for Manny to pull his hair out. Yeah. So one thing that I've kind of been thinking about lately, because like last week especially, like I put in some super long hours to get stuff done, and I completely wore myself out. I actually made myself a little bit sick, and I figured out. I mean, I pretty much just, I didn't do a whole lot on Saturday and Sunday, and I needed all that time and a little bit of time here and there this week to just kind of get over it. And so, I kept saying work till exhaustion and then some. And my thought is that that's probably not a good idea, because I probably lost more time to it than not. But you've got to figure out where that limit is, and it's a lot further than you think it is. But yeah, don't, this is all predicated on how much work you're willing to put in. And you can buy work, right? You can buy other people's time to put into it. And, it doesn't necessarily translate minute per minute or hour per hour. But the flip side is that you're still leveraging that, that money for time. So, we've talked a bit about that, but ultimately, yeah, you can push a lot farther than you think you can, but don't do it to the point where you actually have to take more time to recover when you're done, because that's counterproductive. So yeah, I guess I'm just correcting the idea that I put out there before, and just really, driving home. Yeah, it's not an excuse to slack off, but it is something to be mindful of.
It's better to be slightly under what your capability is, so that you are not reaching the edge of it every day, and then to be able to sustain it over the long haul, and to use that time rather than extending the time, to put the parental controls on your phone and be just focused during that time of no distraction at all, rather than extending the time. But yeah, it's just like training for a race. Like, when you train for the marathon, you didn't just like run as far as you possibly could every single day.
Right.
You wouldn't make it. Like, you would die out. You ran below your capabilities most days and push them on certain days in order to up your training level. But
yeah, well, the other part of that too is that when I was running the 10 miles or the 12 miles or the 16 miles, it felt like it was well beyond what I could do. And it turned out it wasn't, right? And so I didn't run to collapse, but I ran further than I thought I could. And so that limit's usually further than you think it is, but just pay attention and don't overdo it.
Sure.
Okay, so my thought is that to accelerate your results in any area, you need to find someone who has walked the path that you're trying to walk and learn from them. If you have to pay them, do it. If you want to get coached from them, do it. Find a way to get mentored by them. Because the biggest challenge in life is not having the context, not having the paradigm. So no matter how much you tell me that you're going to grind it out, you could actually be grinding out the wrong thing for a very long time, assuming it is the right grind, because you believe that is the right thing to do. The ultimate hack in many ways is to find someone who has the perspective that you are trying to gain, or you don't even know what perspective you're trying to gain, unfortunately, but to find someone who has walked that journey before you, to find the person who has walked the path, because their context is 100,000, 10,000, a million times more powerful than your day-to-day grind. Your grind can actually lead you off astray, and it can lead you to years and years of misery, years and years of trying and doing, and you get nowhere. But you find that person who has walked the path, and your life becomes, you literally short circuit years of learning in a moment. I'm not even saying like hours, like it takes 10 minutes or 10 years, or I'm not saying it takes 5 hours with that person to short circuit 5 years of your life's work. It actually could take 5 seconds or even 1 second, because that one moment of distinction can change everything. It changes the paradigm. It changes the way you approach the world. It changes everything you do. And it's so powerful in business, man. And it's powerful in every area of life. But find a mentor, find a coach. That's like the thing that changes lives.
Let's see. I'm going to go with the old staple, trust the process. And I was just thinking about it today when I was running, because I was doing my run, and I'm going to run a 100-mile race this year. And I don't know how I'm going to run 100 miles, but I didn't know how I was going to run 26.2 when I was training for a marathon the first time. But I'm going to just run what my training plan says, that my coach says every single day. And I know that as long as I just do those runs every single day, that I'll be able to run 100 miles when the time comes, which is, you know, that it just reminded me of this idea of trusting the process, of knowing, like, I don't even question it. I know absolutely, even though I can't see. And I think that's maybe the benefit of trusting the process. The beauty of it is that you can't see it, right? It's like, I can't see how I'm going to run 100 miles. It doesn't make any sense to me right now, but I know I have to trust that if I do this, then I will be able to do that, right? And I think that's a lot of times in life, is that you can't see the actual result. You can't see how it's possible that you could get there, but you just follow the path. That's it.
So can I add or ask a question to it?
Sure.
In this case, the process isn't something you came up with.
Right, exactly.
Right? You actually had a coach or a mentor teach you the process, and now you're trusting the process.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's a very important distinction for people to make, because a lot of people can go off the rails by trusting their own quote unquote process, which can take years and decades or a lifetime to figure out things that someone else actually figured out way before. And you didn't have to do all of that work. You didn't have to spend all of these years doing the wrong process. Trusting the process is great if you know the process is right.
Right. That's why, there's two ways to know the process is right. One, to have someone who's already done it and repeated it. And, you know, and some things fall into that category. For example, running, we understand enough about endurance running, and people are skilled enough to be able to lay out a process. The other way to trust the process and have a process is really to employ the 10X rule, where you say, okay, I'm going to assume that whatever goal that I need to do 10 times as much work, or it's going to require 10. Like, if you're willing to overkill the target, you can find a process that will work. It's better if you can get path one. Sometimes you can't get path one and you have to do path two, but either way, you have to have some kind of process that you're absolutely sure is going to work.
Almost never in life can you not get path one. There is no reason to not get path one. Right?
Yeah,
then you're actually making excuses for not trusting yourself to execute on what the path one will take you to. Because the path two is the painful process, and you just don't know how long it will take you to get there, and you just don't know how painful it will be and how many years you will waste in the process to get to that. Because that's a path of searching and finding that answer, and constantly like, oh, I'm doing 10X, so I'm going to do so much more 10X work for the next 10 years to get the result that someone else was like, oh yeah, I just heard from my mentor or coach to tell me to do this.
Actually, I'll give you an example of where, because you're doing the second path right now, and you should be, because you don't really have someone that can tell you the absolute path that will get you to have a successful book summary business as to where you would like it to be.
Well, I'm actually hiring the coach. Like, I've already started the process, but I'm not sure if that person is the right person, but I'm looking.
Yeah.
So
but your process, the process you're trusting is what? It's doing the 5 book summaries per week. It's doing the 4 YouTube videos and 3 podcasts.
Two YouTube videos and 4 podcast episodes. Yeah.
Okay. So that is the process that you're trusting. And you have a probably like a 99% certainty that if you follow that for a year, that your revenue will increase dramatically, right? So, we talked about it could double your revenue. That's what we would think. So that's one of those path to ones that it's like, there's no one that could really give you the exact process. Now, there might be some other processes that you could follow that will increase your business as well. But by following this process and trusting it, that you're going to get results.
I actually, okay. So
I've got to go. I'll catch you guys later.
Okay.
I agree with you to a certain extent, because I do believe that which I'm looking right now, I'm looking to hire my next coach. One of the things that I'm looking for is someone who's been able to sell more of the low ticket price point items to grow and scale a business. And what are the mistakes or what are the right things to do in this stage of the business to get to that, right? Low ticket subscription based business based on organic growth. How do you do that? So not high ticket, like charge $2,000 for everything and then you make money, which is great. It's a great business model. That's not the business model we are in. I'm in. So I'm looking for that person. And I do believe that with insight and perspective of that one person, my business will change dramatically compared to what I have committed to. Because you're right, that commitment to 5 book summaries a week right now, from my level of perspective, it is the best thing I could do until someone says, why are you doing the book summaries? How about I tell you exactly what you need to do to have someone replicate exactly what you're doing, so you can clear up your time to do this kind of sales and this kind of marketing to actually sell, maybe create 20 book summaries a week. Why are you only doing 5? That's stupid, right? So I don't know that. I don't know that perspective right now. And I'm looking for that person, that coach, that mentor who has walked that path and who can actually give me that perspective, who has hired teams to become him, or who has hired teams to do the things that he does best, and all of those things. I'm looking for that person. If anyone knows, please message me. I'd be more than happy to talk to that person.
Yeah.
But I believe there's a person out there who could literally like 10x my business by giving me the right strategy of, you don't need to do this shit. This is stupid. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But until then, I got to do the grind. Until then, I got to turn this flywheel until I find the coach who says there's a better, much more powerful flywheel that you could be turning right now.
Exactly.
And I'll take that path. So the coach, I still believe, is more powerful than the flywheel, because you could be churning a very small flywheel,
right,
and thinking that is the right thing to do, compared to a person who's like, dude, what a waste of your life.
Yeah.
How about we 10x this business by doing the right things for the next 10 months?
Yeah. I mean, it works at all different levels, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you have the right person would also say, dude, what are you doing even in this business at all? Does this take here? You want to build something big? Here, this place to start is we're going to go find a business for $500,000 or $1 million. We're going to finance an SBA loan, and you're going to buy this business, and you're going to be 10 years ahead of where you are right now with this business, and this one can scale. And then I'm going to show you how to increase that business. Why are we playing with trying to make $1 million business? Let's start with $1 million business and make $100 million business, right? Like there's someone at that level, like that paradigm, right? Where they're like, it doesn't even make any sense, like to even fuck around with something like this at all.
It is entirely possible. And when you get to that person, you probably will change your dynamics as well. And you will start operating at that level, and you'll be like, yeah, shit. Let me step it up a couple of notches and go for a bigger game.
Yeah.
Right. So who knows? But person is still a requirement.
In the absence of it, you have to just make a process that
until you find the mentor, you must do the work. And when you find the mentor, you must do the work again.
Yeah. The challenge is like with something like this, like with the process that you're on, that makes sense, right? It's like you have to trust that process, and you have to come up with that process. If you find a mentor, the challenge is that, so for running, for example, I can hire a running coach, someone who's run ultra marathons and who's trained other people to run ultra marathons. And it's a pretty basic standard right? Like there's not too much room for error. The odds of him steering me in the wrong direction where I will not achieve that goal are very, very low, like probably less than 5%. Whereas with what you're doing, right, or any of us is doing in business, it's a lot more amorphous. Like you don't know that someone will know the answer, right? The percentages become a lot. One,
Well,
finding the right person, and
yes.
two, will it work, right?
Yes and no.
It's not as
I think you can
clear.
look at the person's business and tell if they're doing that thing. That's the easiest thing. If someone is teaching, in case of Chuck, it's probably the easiest right now, I think, for all of us.
Yeah,
If
for
we
sure.
can find a guy who can show him how to do outbound sales leads and generate sales calls and close them in a much more efficient way than he's doing right now.
Yeah.
And and there are people like that. I trust that.
Yeah, there are for sure.
There's tons of people doing that every fucking day, right? So that one is a real deal. In your case, you have people who have built membership sites to thousands of members.
Yeah.
You just need to find those people, pay them, and bite the bullet that that person may not be as good as you think they might be, because sometimes it's our ego that gets in the way of thinking that that person knows not as much as I do, so why should I pay them? But if they've built a business that's 10 times bigger than yours, don't worry about it, just pay it.
Yeah, it's a pretty good chance. So
yeah, they, even if they're not smarter, they've probably figured out a few things that you haven't figured out yet, and they will short circuit your learning curve. They don't have to be smarter than you to teach you their way of doing, which has worked for them.
Yeah, it's true.
Right?
It's true.
So, and same like my case, I'm sure there are people out there that have done this kind of business and kind of transition it to a membership site and all of those things that probably will happen in the next, 3 to 4 quarters of this business. So I'm also looking for that. Maybe not a membership guy right now, but more low ticket coach, like not low ticket coach. I'm willing to pay the top dollar. Someone who's built businesses based on selling sub $100 price point products rather than built businesses selling $10,000, $20,000 masterminds only.
Yeah, exactly.
Or $2,000 courses. Yeah.
All right. I guess that's it.
That's it, man.
All right.
See you in a few hours.
Yep. Take care.